Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Dentist Show. It is Thursday night, and it's a night where we have great conversations about our community. I hope that you guys are feeling good and are good this evening. Tonight, we are talking about recycling and managing solid waste in the time of COVID-19. And I have some amazing guests that are coming on today. Experts in their field to really delve into the topic today for us. So, if you are watching, make sure that you spread the word. Hello, Gifty. How are you? Hope you are well. Let's get everybody watching. Let's share. Let's, let everybody know that tonight is going to be a great conversation. So, hello. Okay, let's see who is watching. We've got Princess Aria, hello. We've got Nokwari. Thank you all for watching. Make sure that you share your page and make sure that you tell somebody, especially if you're watching on Facebook, to do a watch party. Watch parties are great nowadays, especially we're on Facebook where you can just, do a watch party with people to kind of watch the program. If you are passionate about sanitation, if you're passionate about the environment, this is the time for you to make sure that you sit on your seat and are fully glued to tonight's show. So before I start, as always, I need to make sure that I give credit to the people that make this show possible. And so a big thank you to World Remit. You could join over 5.7 million people worldwide sending money back home to a loved one in Africa, in Ghana, on the continent. So make sure that you go onto World Remit and send money to a loved one. It's very, very important that you do. So I'm going to share a link with you as well. For those that haven't already downloaded World Remit app, this is the time. It's a quick, fast and easy way to send money to a loved one. So make sure that you do that. And then I have beautiful perfume by Gloria Mills. Here it is. Make sure that you go to her website and support. As you know, we're always supporting young people, entrepreneurs that are trying to do something in the community. So make sure that you go onto the website and grab one. It's so important. And then Cassie's Classics. I have her amazing all-purpose seasoning and jollof seasoning. My favorite is the jollof seasoning. If you love jollof like me and you use the jollof seasoning, man, you will not use any other seasoning but that. So make sure that you go online and grab her shito, her all-purpose seasoning. Everything is online. So go out there, go on her website and get purchasing. And again, to Vesta London Beauty for this amazing lip glaze. Go online again and let's support. Got it on my lips right now. It's lovely. It smells good. So go and grab one. So again, I really want to know where you guys are watching me from today. Are you in London? Are you in Accra? Where are you watching me today? Like I said, I'm going to put the link up for those people that haven't sent money via World Remit. You can do so. So this is the link for you so that you can do so. So how is everybody doing? Hello. Please, 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 please let me know where you are watching me from. Let's start communicating. Let me know how passionate you are about this topic today, because it's something that's very close to my heart. Sanitation is a big issue here on the continent. How do we, there's challenges that we face. And luckily enough, I have some amazing people that are doing great works in Ghana, in the UK, across the globe. So let me go to my first guest, which is Richard. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Dental. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Doing great. Your good self?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very, very well. Thank you so much for joining me on tonight's show.
Thank you too.
Okay, so Richard, tell me a little bit about yourself. The role you occupy in Bola Bird, and why did you call it Bola Bird?
Thank you. The entire is a very interesting story behind Bola Bird. My name is Richard Dabla. I'm an entrepreneur and a waste resource management consultant. I'm the managing partner of Bolabed, a company incorporated in Ghana. Bolabed, quite interested. I believe if you, for those probably they may know what Bolabed is, because it's more or less a bird that is scavenging mostly on our downside that we see. And also trachea, for instance, is the name of salt that is bola, which we actually take most of our waste. Bola, which actually comes from a corrupted English word, a boiler, just to make reference to an existing boiler that was more or less like an incinerator that used to was used to incinerate waste within Accra. Those were in during the 70s, going to the 80s. With time, have been corrupted to become what we now call a boiler, just moving from the English word boiler, which is a B-O-I-L-E-R, and becoming boiler. So we selected the name Bolabed because at least it connects with virtue. Is this bird that we see, very colorful, very beautiful sight. So we virtually more like that beautiful will actually help you resolve your mental waste management.
So how did you get involved, and what sparked your interest to set up this firm? Why are you so passionate about bola, about sanitation, about the environment? What sparked your interest?
My interest in environmental waste management started between 2004 and 2006, when I saw the challenges we were having with handling of waste, and also being able to handle our source of energy. So we thought we could actually use most existing strategies to be able to impact on it at the time by actually producing more of less generating electricity from the waste. But starting the challenges we were faced, we realized that there were no more laid down procedures at the time to be able to make it much more attractive for what we envisaged doing. So we decided with my team first. I was working with a different team altogether to be able to bring that, technology down here, but suddenly it did not work out. I started consulting and working with Arrow Ecology of Tel Aviv to be able to impact on sustainable environmental management within the country, and launch our project in 2012. Then also investigated the lay down policies. Unfortunately, we realized that trying to start going to be the best thing to do. So together with some few friends, we did what we call Ghana Now. But that was a movement that went clean up the Peshi lagoon and the estuary to recover most of the recyclables, and also being able to demonstrate on site what we could do. Then I met there some fantastic people like my very good friend Yao Pari, who is also quite interested in issue of environment and the beauty of the city, because that helps with his photography. So we decided to put up a group called Bolabed. And accidentally, we also had a friend that was based in Atlanta that also thought of creating a company called Bolabed. So we decided to merge our effort together, he being the IT side and me being on the waste management and environmental management side, and converge our resources to integrate more of things, the internet, together with mobile app and waste management, revise most of the existing policies and integrate it into our business strategy. And voila, we had incorporated fully a company called Labed.
Fantastic. Before we, find out more about the company and what you're currently doing in Ghana, I'm going to bring on our next guest, Philip, who's based in the UK. Phil.
Hello.
How are you?
Not bad at all. You?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on tonight's show.
You're welcome.
So, Phil, tell me a little bit about yourself, what you currently do, and why you are so passionate about the environment.
Okay, thank you. My name is Philip Kwabena Trabantin, and I'm based in the UK. And currently, I'm working for a company called Canary River Trust. It's the third largest charity organization in the UK. And I'm the lead environmental scientist, and I cover London and Southeast region. And I also consult for a Swiss-based company called Solar Impulse Foundation, and I'm a senior consultant there. And what I do for them, I assess high-profile projects sponsored by World Bank and WHO. And when I assess a project, I qualify them for grants, and I qualify them also for investments and eco-label, so that they will be out there for people to know what they are doing, so that they can expand as well. And at the moment, I've set up a consulting company called Renifil, and we provide environmental service consulting and also specifically confidential waste collection from small-scale industries. And I've partnered with a colleague who is also into information security and also ISO 14001, ISO 9001, and all the ISO standards implementations. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
That is fantastic. That sounds amazing. And how long have you been in the field?
For 10 years now.
10 years. So
Yes,
how do you see how do you see the sanitation and environment issues in our motherland?
There is more room for improvement. At the moment, I know it's Zoom Lion, who is a major player there, and other small waste management companies like Rich's organization. They are doing their best, but without the backing of the government, because waste management is an industry that is heavily regulated. So without the right policies in place and without enforcement in place, all the private organizations who are trying to help with the management of our sanitation to make it a better place for people, they are going to struggle. So they need the help of the government to develop policies, regulation, robust one, and set up an organization like the EPA, invest in it, and also help them to enforce the laws. Without it, everything that they are going to, they will make a large impact. It's going to be a very small impact. You will see them doing the work, but outside you will see there is nothing happening. So they need the help of the government. Without the help of the government, it's going to be very difficult.
Okay, it is going to be very difficult. So let me bring back Richard on. Richard. Has COVID-19 positively or negatively impacted your business?
COVID-19 in a way negated our activities in the bid, but it also helped us get back to the drawing board and connect with most of our clients to revise the way forward. There's been a halt in our activities when it first started, because this was we virtually do not understand the contaminations that we ought to take into consideration the health and safety of most of our workers that were getting on the field. Immediately we were able to get how best we could be able to handle and protect both the workers and both partners that were receiving recyclables from us. We were able to push up. The only thing that was much more affected was both some public places where event centers were being covered by us. But we're gradually trying to raise our head above the waters and try to sustain our activities. In a way, it affected negatively on the revenue collections. Yeah.
Okay. As a Ghanaian, what do you think our mindset is towards waste? Richard.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't get you right.
As Ghanaians, what do you think our mindset is towards waste? What do you think our mindset is? Are we conscious about waste?
Our mindset about waste is just more like sweeping the dust under the carpet, out of sight, out of mind. We actually do not connect with what we generate. It's just like, let me quickly dispose of in a way that is not actually the suggested way of actually handling waste. The idea is just I've been able to sweep my compound. The rest is less important. The fact that I've been able to shift from me and position the goals somewhere else is how we actually handle waste in the country. We have not come to terms with how to sustainably manage our waste. It is more of just doing away with it.
Okay, so what mindsets can we begin to adopt? What's the way forward?
What I believe we could do, just let me put it this way. Let me give you some example to illustrate. You know, when we bereave, we actually make sure that handled and sent to the cemetery and properly buried, with the hope that they, as depending on what we believe, that they may resurrect someday. The same way, we should also be able to understand that whatever we discard could be more like these family member that we have lost, and that we need to properly handle and send it to the final burial site, and hoping that he or she will resurrect one day. Resurrection here means that probably send it to the appropriate facility where the resurrection process will take place. Where, for instance, plastic will have a new life, where your food waste will have a new life, and the rest. Until we're able to connect through the process of handling through the appropriate channel of storage, collection, and treatment before burial, before landfilling of the waste, we will have a lot of disconnect. There's a lot of disconnect between the waste generation, the process of handling, and the final treatment. So that will require a lot of education to the masses.
Okay. Philip, why do you think that, people in the UK, Europe, their mindset towards waste is different from us?
So the only difference is here, the education is very robust, and they see waste as a resource, rather than in Africa, we don't see waste as a resource. But in Europe and other advanced countries, they see it as a resource, whereby we can use it instead of depending on the raw material that we extract from the earth. We can use waste as a resource for other factory processing, where other factory depends on the waste. If that's the massive difference. If our continent, they start to see waste as a resource, is going to be different. Then the work, about 70% of the work is done.
So, we talk about plastics all the time, how plastics is affecting, the environment, etc. How much is it really affecting the environment? Can I have your views on plastics?
Plastic is a very huge problem. One, we have to look at what plastics are made up of. Plastics are made up of a long chain polymer of carbon molecules. And these carbon molecules, when they manufacture into plastics, it contains CO2 and CH4, which is carbon dioxide and methane. And these two are primary agents of climate change. So one, in Ghana, for example, we don't have a proper infrastructure to manage plastic waste. So what happens is most of them end up in landfill or everywhere on land. So one, there is a process called photochemical reactions. That's the sunlight and heat. When it reacts with this plastic in the environment, it emits this methane and carbon dioxide, which causes climate change. And also, we look at flooding events in Ghana when it rains. One, this plastic, it washes through our waterways, inland waterways, and it disrupts the hydraulic flows of our waters. So what happens is it causes flooding. The waters are not able to flow properly because of this plastic causing drainage problems. That's one example of impact of plastics. And also, when it ends up in landfill, because we don't have a proper landfill engineering in most developing countries, what happens is this plastic contains a lot of chemicals. So a lot of chemical reactions, biochemical reactions, photochemical reactions take place. And these chemicals will start leaching into the water table and it affects groundwater. And you know, in Africa, most people depend on boreholes. So these chemicals, most of them are carcinogenic. When I say carcinogenic, it causes cancer. So it ends up in this water table, which people will drink, and it will go up in the food chain, and it will affect their health. So these are some of the detrimental impact of plastic. And also, if you look at the marine environment, if you see on TV a lot, it affects wildlife because when it gets to the environment, plastic takes time to biodegrade. And even some of them, if biodegrade, it disintegrates into smaller particles that we call microplastics. So some of these birds and aquatic life, they mistake it as food and they will take it and they will eat. Example, let's use fish as a classic example. A fish will feed on microplastics and you fish it out, you will sell it in the market and you will buy, and it will get into your system. It bioaccumulates in your system and you start to have health impact. So these are some of the primary impact of plastics. When it ends up in the environment, it's not properly managed.
Wow, it's very serious. So should we actually be drinking bottled plastic waters?
Yes, there is nothing wrong with that. But the problem is when it ends up in the environment and it started to react with other agents in the environment, that's where the problem comes. But when you drink it, water from it, there's no problem with it. But the best way is to use glass like this, With glass, you can recycle it as many times and you will never lose the quality of a glass. But with plastic, even if you recycle a plastic, you recycle it into a different material. You don't recycle into plastics. And there is a problem with it. You use a lot of energy, which also have impact on the environment.
Wow. Richard, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I feel it's the nail right on the head. But the point is, I really don't think plastic is mostly the culprit. The culprit should be the way we are actually educated in handling our waste from each generation to its process. If the chain is actually well connected, I believe that it takes away the trouble of having it ending up our water channels for fishes and the aquatic life to be destroyed. I also believe that it needs a bit of an extended stewardship from most of corporate polluters that are actually producing most of those plastic and enforcement, and I guess we're good to go.
Okay. What about recycling? Obviously, in the UK, we have, a green bin for recycling, a black one for your normal kind of disposable. Are we having that in Ghana? Is it working, or are people still mixing, different products in our bin? What is the best way to go about this, Richard?
In Ghana currently, source segregation of waste is not mandatory. It's just a personal choice. If you really segregate at source, but waste collectors will not actually separate the waste when it gets to their tract. They all mix, they lump them together, and they ended up at the landfill. Or in some few instances, they are channeled to facility for material recovery. But the challenge with the facility for material recovery is that mostly there's been a cross contamination of the recyclables before they get to companies that may need it for recycling. It becomes a very serious problem. That is the thing we see most actually sent to landfill. And besides, with China closing his gate to all type of dirty recyclables and so on, it became extremely challenging in Ghana to be able to recycle, because most of the plastic bottles, for instance, have a code under the bottles, for instance, to tell you this material could be recycled, this cannot be recycled, this is actually a PET bottles, this is actually high polyethylene and the rest. We should be able to have a lot of education about the coding of those plastic and relate to actually reject what we are buying in most of the supermarket. And currently, it is not available. There's no education on what we buy at the supermarket. And besides, the way we actually purchase things in most of our market with low density polyethylene that have a very minute micron, that makes it very difficult for recycling companies to also accept those kind of plastics. And besides, they are sometimes mixed up with oil and food and all the rest. And cost of recycling becomes very expensive, because cost of water is also related to actually washing those recyclables before they are sent to the various facilities. So the best is actually to promote a source segregation at source before being sent to the various treatment. Our environmental sanitation policies indicate that we should consider waste as a material in transit. On paper, it looks beautiful, but currently none of those are implemented, because the running operation of most of those companies become very expensive, and the appropriate fee paid for waste management is virtually not realistic for sustainability.
Philip, I can see you nodding your head, agreeing with Richard.
Yes,
what
yes.
is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because everything Richard is saying is what we need in Ghana and other parts of Africa to make waste management work. Without those elements that he mentioned, it's going to be very difficult. Because if you look at the UK, we get our waste sorted because of the council tax we pay. So if Ghana, we can implement something like that, if that financial incentives are there to support the waste management company, it's going to be a very good thing to move it forward so that we can catch up with the advanced world. Without that, it's going to be very difficult, because the mindset of the people, they won't understand why they have to pay for a waste. But affluent areas like Trazako and East Legon, I know there is a proper system like the UK, which works, and Richard can testify to that. And even in the UK, we still have a problem. I don't know if you heard in the news, there were a lot of waste shipped to Malaysia and China that was rejected because the infrastructure itself is not enough to recycle this waste. Example, when there is a cross-contamination, Richard made mention of it. Example, with your green bin, if you don't put the right recyclables in it, when it gets to the MEF, that material recovery facility, it gets rejected, or they have to put in a lot of effort to make it work. So these are some of the problems. And imagine in the UK, with all this education, we are still having this problem. So Ghana is a very huge thing. So they need a massive education, a campaign to educate the public and the masses for them to understand what waste is. It's a resource, and the source segregation is very, very important. Without the source segregation, forget about recycling. It won't work.
It won't work. But what do you think the issue is in promoting this, Richard? I mean, you have been doing this for a very long time in Ghana. I know that you've knocked on a lot of doors. You've been to the ministries. I mean, you've been to some of the big houses, but still, it seems like as things are still not moving forward.
I'll put it this way. For instance, the problem is could be one political, not with relation to this political party or this political party. We all have at the back of our mind when we are handling waste management and the rest, saying that, okay, I have generated it. If I don't keep like, for instance, we shift the problem, we shift the goalpost like I initially stated. And besides, people finding it quite a bit expensive and complicated, because it needs to go with education. One, education is quite expensive because you need to know what is plastic, what is actually cardboard. Unfortunately, some of the cardboard we receive, for instance, are already lined with film and cannot get to any recycling facility. It becomes quite complicated. So what we do, for instance, is just to forget about the challenges and so on. And we ask, for instance, corporate bodies to include a bit of stewardship. We sometimes suggest to have, for instance, what I team as reverse marketing. Listen, for instance, let's say company A is producing this amount of bottles. You need to know how much bottles is actually recycled, how much bottles is actually ending up in open drain and the rest. So why don't you put up a bit of stewardship by marketing your brand? Let's say, for instance, that company A is producing Sobolo with this brand name. And Sobolo, you should be able to own up to recover most of those plastic bottles that you have generated. Now, unfortunately, you cannot. You fall to a third-party company like Bolabe that has the necessary IT infrastructure to be able to tell you how much of your bottles have been recovered. And what you do is the stewardship is more or less giving up some coupon or maybe some green ticket to homes that are properly recycling, and maybe to redeem some few products to those homes, to be able to encourage them to do so. It connects better than actually giving money to people. We could, for instance, partner with small banks and so on, saying that, okay, in a low area, for instance, where the economic challenge is so extreme, incentivize, for instance, through like trading of recyclables and having, for instance, their Visa card or so to those communities where monies for those recyclables are actually channeled, for instance, to those their ATM card. One, you're able to make them bankable. You're able to make them, connect with the environment. Let me tell you something too that will surprise you. In most of our, in 2018, for instance, we took the trouble to investigate about 60 kilometers of the coastline of our country just to be able to understand why the challenges with our coastline, why do we see the waste littered around the coastline. We also went through the watershed. We also tried to investigate. It will also surprise you that most of the waste that are coming downstream are actually coming from upstream, from places like Trazaco, from places like East Legon and the rest. And sometimes when you audit the brands that are coming, you person living, for instance, I call this lot of packaging. You know how much cost, and doing the economic, describing the economy, the purchase capacity of those people. It is a bit challenging for them to afford those things. So what we probed further, we found out that most of the abobo yards, for instance, some of them pick the waste and target, for instance. Fortunately, we did that. So some of them target when there's nobody watching, and they just dump it in the channel, and it comes from upstream all the way to downstream. We happen to witness some around the Osu police station, behind Osu police station, where, for instance, we saw bags. Waste food it's just mixed waste that end up into the sea. So the problem is not only the people downstream. We are blaming people downstream for the problem we have, but if we were trying to minimize, for instance, the waste we generate upstream, I'm sure that will in a way help solve the problem too. Because since if we do not have the infrastructure, what is much important for us now is just to promote about waste minimization and waste reduction by being able to reduce our environmental footprint. Then we can catch up with developing that infrastructure that will enable us to move towards the like of Germany, the like of Sweden, the like of France, UK, and the rest.
Absolutely, totally agree. I also have, the Queen of Sanitations is a young girl that, is promoting, championing sanitation in Ghana. She's only 7 years old. And I also have Amin Suli, who is a young guy that is turning coconut into charcoal and recycling that. So it's going to be a very good conversation. As I keep saying, please make sure that you are sharing your pages and make sure that people are watching the show. So let me bring on Amin Sule just to kind of talk to us about a bit about what he does and, why he got involved in turning coconut into charcoal. Amin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Denta. Thank you to Phil and Richard, and thank you all for having me.
Great.
All right.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and the business.
All right. Okay. So I am Amin Sule, and then I am the founder of Zaco. Zako literally means hot coal. It's a merger of two words. Zafi, a Hausa word that means hot, and then coal. So basically what Zako does is somewhere in 2013, I realized unconsciously there was so much coconut waste in the city of Accra, especially in the Osu area. So on my usual commute to class, I would see on every junction somebody selling coconut. And just like we're having this discussion, I had that same discussion with myself. Like, wait, with this so many people selling this much coconut on the street, what exactly do they do with the waste? Eventually, you realize that they all don't even have any plan. They were either paying the waste companies to pick them up, or they will drive them all the way to the beaches where they will dump them, and nobody really cared. It was very disheartening to realize that the beaches actually was where we had a lot of security around. I mean, you have the Independence Square, you have the Osu Castle, you have the Art Center. That's where all of the coconuts were ending up. So I had no business doing charcoal. I knew nothing about charcoal, but this question kept coming to me. With so much coconuts in the streets, what do we really do with this? I went there to the art center. I went there to all of these places. I saw so many coconuts there. And that was when it really hit me that, yo, we have enough of these things to really rely on as a raw material. So basically, Zako decided to convert all of these coconuts into charcoal, because secondly, we realized that we're generating so much tons of waste, of which most of them were organic waste. But you realize that there's a lot of push, especially in the plastic area, where people are now trying to recycle plastic. But there was very little effort in the organic, or should I say, the organic or coconut waste. That was when we decided we would convert all of these into charcoal for households. If you look at our energy mix, you realize that we have a population of which a greater majority use charcoal as their primary cooking fuel. So if an average Ghanaian is going to have a daily meal, it's either gas, it's either charcoal or firewood. And the fact that a lot of us live in Accra, we think nobody else uses charcoal, which has been a very bad misconception we've always had with us in Accra. But with time, we've been able to validate the fact that there is a huge demand for charcoal, to the extent that we even import charcoal in this country, which we all know the raw material for charcoal. We are always cutting down trees. So charcoal basically gives us an alternative raw material to use for charcoal.
That's fantastic. But how did you know that coconut can be used for charcoal? Like, how did you know? Did you have to do a lot of research? Who told
honestly,
you?
I didn't know anything about charcoal. I didn't know it was possible to even make charcoal with coconut. But what really happened was the eureka moment happened to me when we went to buy kenke somewhere in the La Paz area of Accra. And we realized that the kenke seller was using the coconut instead of firewood, because she had identified these coconut guys on the street. So they would just come in and dump the coconut in her house. This is what she was using as a fuel for cooking the kenke. And that was where it really hits me like, wow. So instead of firewood, she's using coconut. Mind you, charcoal or firewood is the same raw material for charcoal. So is it possible, as this thing is working in place of firewood, is it possible to use this to also make charcoal? And I'm super curious. So I actually just took a trip to the north, in the upper west region, where they make a lot of charcoal. I joined them in their daily trip just to see how they actually make charcoal. I came back to Accra, did a lot of experimentation. About 6 months, just trying and testing. And strangely, it never even occurred to me to look online, because I felt what those guys were doing was the right way. Eventually, I decided to Google coconut charcoal online and found like, oh, so you can even press it with after you've bent it into charcoal, compress it into briquette, and then sell. So basically, that's how the transition has been for Zako, from picking a handful of coconuts and then telling a few coconut vendors to bring me some wheelbarrow load of coconut, and eventually having a huge mountain of coconuts in my house.
Wow. Because you're actually getting a coconut for free because people are using it and are dumping it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And you turn that into a business, and you know you're making money out of this.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
go on.
With time, we modeled our business to really identify how we could really sustain the business, because you realize that with time, when people know there's value for these coconut, they won't give it out for free. They will definitely want to earn something. And considering the volumes that we would need now, we would definitely need to pay something to get it. So we involved ourselves in the waste management business. I remember 4 years ago in 2016, we registered a company called Bolaman, similar to Bolabed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we registered a company called Bolaman.
I see some partnerships happening here.
Exactly. So we had Bolaman registered in 2016, where we also had a few tricycles given out to some young men that ride through the city and then pick up the coconut. In fact, we don't even charge them. So we became like a savior to them, where they were paying an average of 10 to 20 cedis to give it out to companies like Zoom Lion. We pick it up for free. So we are saving them some money, and it's win-win for all. Netta, you're muted.
Oops. I was saying fantastic. And I was saying, Philip, what do you think about what Amin is doing?
Okay, it's a very fantastic job. That's what I do with solar import. So I can support with Amin to get the eco label of solar imports, also get investment from World Bank, etc. So after this live TV dialogue,
Sure.
get in touch with me and I will set out how you can put a business case for a Swiss company to help you. That's very
fantastic.
Well
fantastic. Somebody has asked, how long does it take to turn a coconut into charcoal?
Okay, so when we started, it would take a long time, an average of let's say 6 hours to convert a barrel load of coconut into charcoal. But we have evolved into a full industrial production process where basically in about an hour we could produce about 1,000 kilograms of charcoal.
Wow, that's fantastic. Richard, what do you think about what Sule is doing? Richard, can you hear me?
Impressive. Thumbs up. There's a few areas, for instance, when we and a few places where they see them. Yeah, and I was to select improvements on our adding we are doing coconut to energy more that boarding like what we normally do in about a kilo or two of bag of coconut. What we do is more like connect to the industries that are.
Richard, we can't actually hear you. Your phone is breaking up very, very badly.
Request to pick up about 1,000 kilograms of some
Oh, we can't hear Richard. Richard is breaking up a lot. I can
connect to the use
Okay, we cannot hear Richard. Okay, let me introduce the Queen on. Hello, Queen of Sanitation.
Hi.
Good evening, how are you?
Good evening, please. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm good. What is your name?
Please, my name is Etila Leward and also called Dede as far as my sanitation project is concerned.
Thank you very much, Dede. Madam Queen, why do you advocate that we should segregate our rubbish or our waste as a nation, Queen?
Please, the reasons and purpose why we segregate our waste are numerous, but the important ones are: 1. To create jobs. 2. To feed the recycling plants with the money segregated waste items. 3. To open up the economy for doing business. 4. To create newly useful products from the money segregated waste items. And please, these are basically the things that the purposes that we segregate our waste for.
Okay, so why do you think recycling is so important? What does recycling actually mean?
Recycling is the process whereby segregated waste items are processed into newly useful products through new technology.
Okay, and did you hear Amin Sule talk about how he's using coconut and turning it into charcoal? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
What do you think of the idea? What do you think of the idea?
It's great.
Fantastic. It is great. Can you give us an example so we understand what you mean by newly useful products?
For example, 1. Waste pure water sachet rubbers into newly waste pure water sachet into new waste pure water sachet rubbers processed into new rubber baskets. 2. Single-use waste plastic bottles processed into new plastic chairs. 3. Waste organic matter processed into manure for planting. 4. Waste aluminium offcuts processed into new silver pans. 5. Human feces processed to generate power. 6. Waste iron rods processed into new iron beds and chairs. Please, these are some of the examples of recycling.
Fantastic. And Queen, how important do you think it is to really educate ourselves about recycling, about sanitation in our schools as a young person?
Please, the question again.
How important do you think is really important for young people like yourselves to be educated about sanitation and recycling in schools?
Yes, please.
Yeah?
Because it creates jobs.
Uh-huh.
And it creates awareness.
Okay.
And clears filth from the environment. Yeah.
Okay. So how old were you when you started this heavily loaded task as the sanitation queen?
I was 7 years and now I'm 10.
And now you are 10. And how has the journey been so far? Are you convincing people to recycle?
Mm, Please, I can't hear you. Question again.
How has the journey been? Has people been responding to everything that you have been doing for the community? Queen, can you hear me?
Yes.
I said, how
I
has
can
the
hear
journey?
clearly now.
Okay, how has the journey been for you? You know, educating people and doing this for a few years now. How has it been?
It has been very good, and people have been following me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the advice that you give some of our viewers who are watching?
Please, I keep saying, as we don't deliberately hurt our parents, we should not hurt Mother Ghana by throwing rubbish into our streets and on our streets and into our gutters. Manage your rubbish properly and dump them accurately into your dustbins. And please, to add to my advice, I hope all Ghanaians should help the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the Sanitation Minister, Honorable Cecilia Abena-Dapa's campaign on good sanitation practices. Thank you and God bless you.
God bless you too. We are extremely proud of you and the work that you are doing. I mean, the comments here that everybody's saying that they're very, very, very proud of you, and keep promoting the sanitation, the recycling, everything that you're doing. We are solidly behind you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll let Amin and Phil say a few words to you, and then we'll continue with the conversation. Amin, what do you have to say to this young 10-year-old girl?
Well, I have always had the belief, like we all say, charity begins at home. I think if we are all brought up to really respect the environment, we wouldn't grow up to see the world or the environment as it is today. So keep up the good work. I'm sure by the time you're 20, 30, we won't have any field problem in Ghana. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Phil?
She's a queen indeed, queen of sanitation indeed. So what I would say is keep on the good job. You've really impressed me. So next time I'm in Ghana, if I'm coming to Ghana with investors, etc., we will find you and we are going to organize a workshop together.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
I'm very grateful.
So proud of you. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. And definitely I'll be speaking to Daddy. And Daddy, well done, Uncle Eddie, for pushing your daughter and making her do the right things. We are very proud of her. Hey, Daddy. Eddie, how do you feel? How do you feel, you know, when your daughter is speaking amongst great people and really promoting the country?
Yes, I feel very good, because it took a very hard time for us to get here, and she's very smart and willing to do the best for Mother Ghana. So actually, you know, we are in the business. We need investors, as my good brother has said. The coconut man to charcoal. That's what we needed. We need investors.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you so much. Oh, isn't that sweet? She's absolutely amazing. I'm very, very, very proud of her. She's only 10 years old and is pushing the sanitation agenda in Ghana. That is wonderful. And I think that, as you mentioned about education, we must be educating our young people right now about sanitation, about the importance of it, because it is affecting Mother Ghana. So, Phil, I want to talk a bit more about, you know, the article that you wrote about recycling. Can you give us some pointers on that?
So, recycling in COVID-19 crisis or recycling in general?
COVID-19.
Oh, okay. So, because of the crisis that we are in, it's very, very important we understand source segregation, especially we're dealing with a lot of medical waste. So let's look at somebody who is sick at home with COVID-19. The person will be sneezing, coughing. So the person, if the person is with someone who is taking care of her or him, what they have to do, they have to make sure they segregate the waste. They have to designate a special bin for all the waste that is coming out as a result of the person being treated. You designate it, you put it in, you bag it, you tie it up, and you put it somewhere which is not easily accessible. So that when you finally want to dispose the waste, you put it in the general waste bin. You don't put it in the recycling bin because it's going to contaminate it. And you have to also look at the those operational staff who come and collect it, their health too, you have to take it into consideration. So it's very, very important. All the healthcare waste that we generate in the house, we put it in the black label bin, the black bin, that is the residual waste bin, so that they can take it away. You don't put the recycling, because if you put in the recycling bin, it goes to the MEF, a facility called Material Recovery Facility, where people manually sort the waste out. So they too can get infected if the waste is not segregated properly. So it's very, very, very important that we understand source segregation at the house, at the home, and also with the hospitals. I know in England we have advanced medical waste treatment facilities, so it's not a problem. But in Ghana, I don't know how the system works in Ghana, but it's very, very important they also follow the procedure in terms of managing hospital waste. So if there is no private organization in that industry, I will encourage those waste management companies also where they can provide service to the hospital so that they will do proper recycling by segregating the waste at the source.
Fantastic. Do you think that, waste management and recycling is a profitable venture?
Yes, it is. It is very profitable, especially with recycling. If we're able to find a market for all the material that you recycle, it's serving as a secondary source of recycling material for manufacturers. So you sell to them, they depend on it. But if you are not able to find a market for it, it's quite difficult, especially in Ghana. If they're able to recycle a lot and they are not able to find a market for it, it will end up in landfill. As Richard talked about it, because they don't have all those infrastructures in places, it ends up in landfill. They will recycle it and it will end up in landfill, which doesn't make sense with the recycling in the first place. So if they're able to find a market for it, it's very profitable.
I guess, Sule, you'll be able to answer this because you're already in it. How is it going? Is it profitable?
Yes, it is. It's been very great so far. We've had a very impressive response from the general public. When we started, it was a bit of a difficulty convincing people that, hey, this is charcoal. It's molded different. It's just like the same charcoal that you know. So we had to do a lot of education. But along the line, we also learned so much. So now we're able to address the people, and they have gradually gotten to like the product. So I would say it's been very impressive. We really appreciate the support and the reception we've had from the general public. From day one, we never wanted to make our product a shopping mall, or would I say a high class product. We wanted to be something that average Ghanaian household can afford. So we sell it 2 kg bags, because we realize the average Ghanaian doesn't buy charcoal in bulk, they buy on demand. So if Auntie Ata wants to cook, she sends koto 2 cedis brame. So you go and buy 2 cedis. So we also packaged it 2 kilograms, which we sell for 5 cedis. And we make them know that this lasts much longer than what you're already used to. And it's been really impressive, because the first day I joined the guys to sell in the Medina market. Out of curiosity, they've never seen charcoal packaged in paper bags before. So out of curiosity, they all jumped on board. What is it? They liked it. They bought it out of curiosity, and then they tried it. So the next day, they actually helped us do the sales on the streets. So far it's been good. I would say recycling is big business, just like any other business.
Okay. And so how many tons of charcoal are you producing in a week, and how many are you selling currently?
Currently, we have probably the biggest charcoal processing plant in West Africa, sub-region. We have a capacity of about, thank you. We have a capacity of, installed capacity of 3 tons per hour, but we are doing about 10 tons every day. That's about 10,000 kilograms every day, of which we're able to sell almost everything on a daily basis. So it's still growing.
That is fantastic. And it was just a vision of you just walking around kenke. It started from kenke, eating kenke. More of you need to start eating kenke because some inspiration.
But it hasn't been all fine and rosy. There's been tears. Yeah, we're still crying.
No, but tell us, and for me, I really want you to share your journey, because I feel like a lot of young people, a lot of them feel like they have to make it outside of Ghana. Even today, I got a young girl calling me, said, "Oh, Denta, I want to see how I can get to abroad." And I'm like, look, there's opportunities here. You can create your own opportunities and your own wealth on the continent. So, tell us a bit about the ups and downs of, doing your own business, but then, trying to make it successful at the same time.
Okay. I think most of the time when we talk about how we are growing successful businesses, we talk about the good side. So everybody wants to try it. And when people get in, they begin to feel the other side of it, and they feel like they were not told the truth. So they begin to fall off the line. But let me see if I can tell you how it's been. So I was reading law. I was doing LLB, University of London LLB, and my school used to be in a distance course. So my school used to be in the Osu area. So that's how come I discovered the coconut. Along the line, I used all my fees to really start this whole thing. All right. Wow. I think at the time it was about £600, and the Ghana version was about 5,000 cedis. So in total, it was about £1,200. During vacation, I got the money to pay the fees. I began going to the market to buy certain things I thought would help me do the experiments. I'll go around, buy barrels, I'll buy other things. When school reopened, I realized I didn't even have anything to go back and pay the fees to go back to school. So it was out of Kobolo life. Okay, now I can't go back to school because I can't pay the fees. Now I'm stuck with this thing. I don't even know whether it would work. So that's the first uncertainty. But then I've always had it within me that if it wasn't going to work, I wouldn't have even gotten this idea. So I'll keep going. It's been a very challenging journey. Sometimes I tell myself I'm done with this thing. I've been stressed so much. I'm not doing it anymore. But I still wake up the next day and go back, because I came to love what I was doing so much that even though money wasn't coming in, I just didn't even mind. So it's all about love for what you're doing. And it even goes beyond passion. Passion is like the fuel that takes you there. But then what do you do when you're there? That is what I can't really put a finger on what kept me going, because honestly, I don't even know. But I just loved what I was doing, whether people will buy it or not. I think my biggest reward has been people calling and saying, I used it and I liked it. Wow. It gets me going the next day. Yeah. So I didn't even care about money. All I cared about was feedback. That was all I needed, feedback. Even to date, I still chase the feedback, because I feel once I have a good product that people want, it will bring them money. So I come to the UK, I go to Sainsbury's and I buy every brand of charcoal they have in Sainsbury's. Go to Tesco and I buy every brand of charcoal they have in Tesco. And almost every bag they have anywhere in the £1 line and everywhere. And then I come back and I experiment it and test it against what I am producing. How am I better than these guys? Or how are these guys better than I am? That's how passionate or how much I loved what I was doing. And I do it every now and then. The pains, you go to people. I used to do a lot of pitching to investors. There are so many people who go BDA, I mean, charcoal, who really uses charcoal in this day? A lot of these comments are very discouraging, but it never gets to me. I know what I am doing. The woman likes it. She gave me a feedback. So I actually don't really care whether the money will come through this or that. And I feel like we, in this part of the world, put everybody in that basket. So most of these pitch events you go to looking for money, they have people in tech also pitching for the same money. and a lot of the attention is given to these tech guys. So it makes it look like you don't even matter. Like we're talking mobile payments, we are talking technology, some fancy stuff, and you are here with something as primitive as charcoal. So I never won most of the pitch events. But to me, I used to be a very reserved and like an introvert. So much as I wasn't winning these monies, to me, it was boosting my confidence to go out and talk more. The real me wouldn't have even faced the entire today. But these pitch events kind of like opened me up to the world. Like I, out of curiosity, I want to know what's happening. So since 2013, I mean, imagine, no money, no school, no degree. I mean, I couldn't get my LLB, no money coming in from anywhere.
What did your family say? What were your family's response to you dropping your law to do BDA, as you said?
My mom, for example, I knew would be very upset. So she never knew of what I was doing. She never knew. It was just my brothers. She is in the States, so she never knew I wasn't going to school. It was just my brothers with which I lived in Ghana here, my aunties who knew what I was doing. But to them, they knew, oh, every evening I'll go for class and come. But every evening I was in Abobloshi collecting coconuts and building some metal barrels. So nobody knew I wasn't going to school. It was after like 2 years when I started posting some flyers I had designed myself when I got the name Zako, started posting it online, and she began asking what's happening. Why are you not in school? And that's when all of these came out. We had our own fights, but it stopped me getting chop money and it helped me build Zako.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Richard, I hope that you can hear us now and you can join the conversation again. Can you hear us, Richard?
Yeah, I can hear you, and I can hear you loud and clear. And then the narration was quite impressive. Yeah, it's quite impressive. Thumbs up, Soleil. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So you was mentioning, you was talking about.
It is good. You believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing and you push it forward. Yeah.
Thank you.
Richard, you were talking about, charcoal as well. I think you said you were doing a similar thing. Can you talk about what you're?
Yes. Yes. I was saying that what we do is just to connect, for instance, the raw material, just like what we emphasize on recyclables are actually raw materials that are needed by other industries. So in our line of business, sometimes we come across people, for instance, coconut sellers that want to actually do away with their discarded material. They do not know how to go about it. There's some instance where. Come again?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so there were instances, for instance, when we had to pick from a cocoa, both the coconut and also the discarded, because coconut, it was also doing smoothies and the rest, and some of the bottles he uses for the juice was left behind. So we normally get them and look for companies that are actually in need of those raw material. And what we do is moving from position A and channel it to position B. So we must stand in between both the recycling company and the waste generator as a medium to be able to trade. And I believe that is how we should be able to understand what is happening. That is the best way to also understand and have a matrix of what is being generated and be able to develop policies. Foreign policies are the vacuum because we actually do not have data. For instance, waste generation country based on the data that we have since 2002, which might not be actually the real data. There might be some few changes on the volume of organic waste that are generated, for instance, for planning, and there might be also some few discrepancy, for instance, plastic bottles that are in the system, and have taken note of what Sule is doing, and I believe that we can also integrate him into our Bolabed system, where we can channel the raw material to his industry, so that there's a win-win approach to what we're doing. for Mother Ghana.
Fantastic. This is what I like to hear. More partnerships, more working together so that it's just one agenda. We all want to see Ghana clean. So Richard, how much rubbish are we generating in the country?
The information are quite conflicting, so I go by this. In developing countries like Ghana and the rest, we on average generate about 0.48 kilogram of waste daily per person. And if we do a projection of the statistical information about how much the population of Accra grows by 3%, you can make the current populations by 0.48 kilogram per person, and then make the projection and be able to arrive at a figure. Currently, if mistaken, we should be turning around a figure of 3,600 tons of waste a day that are being generated just within Accra. And if we project per annum in the whole of the country, if I'm not mistaken, we could be getting up to 1.1 million tons of waste that is generated per annum.
Sorry, is it true that we are still getting rubbish from other countries?
Yeah, indirectly we do, because visiting some recycling companies within the catchment of Fadama and the rest, and I was surprised to note that some of the plastics that we're receiving were actually exported all the way from the USA and channeled to the country, be recycled into small pellet that will be channeled to some of our industries here.
Wow. Philip, why is it that, people from the Western world are sending their rubbish to Africa?
One classic example is electronic waste. I know electronic waste, they ship it a lot to Ghana, especially in Nigeria, because we in Africa, we use it. Most of the electrical waste equipment that is discarded in the UK, it actually can be reused. But here we discard it and it ends up in Africa. And the problem is they don't look at how we, the Africans, we don't have the infrastructure to process it. And it's having a lot of impact on our environment. They don't care, as long as they see it as a market for people to buy and sell. And I know a lot of Ghanaians who are in that trade. They buy secondhand electronic goods and ship it to Ghana to sell. And people use it. And it has got a lot of electronic problems with it, especially there are components when you discuss in the environment, they start to disintegrate. It has a negative impact on the environment. It leaches, contaminates our rivers, contaminates our groundwater, etc. And also it has a lot of impact on people's health because most of them contain carcinogenics. So when it's released into the environment, it contaminates the air. There's a lot of pollution in the air and people are breathing in and people are getting sick. That's why nowadays you hear a lot of people getting cancer in Africa. Wow. These are some of the problems.
So in your opinion, does the government support waste management business enough?
Mm-hmm. In the UK?
Yes, for you, it would be UK.
Yes, there's a lot of funding, a lot of projects going on in the UK. As long as you can access it, you can prove to them that you are there doing the work, you can get access to it. There are a lot of, especially the UK waste management industry improved a lot because of the EU. The EU had a lot of impact on UK because without the UK, the waste management wasn't a very big influential industry. But because of the EU legislation, waste management is very big now. And now that we are out of the EU, the government is setting up a special organization that will enforce waste legislation on the public and the private organization. Especially, I'm part of a huge project that we call Waste Crime Project. A lot of fly tipping. I don't know if you heard of fly tipping. We have a lot of problem with fly tip. People fly tip a lot, and it costs business owners and land owners loads of money to deal with it. So the government is pushing in more than £20 million in waste crime. So to make sure we combat waste crime. If you get caught, you can be in prison for 5 years. So it's a very...
Basically, is it people are flying and then dumping the waste whilst flying? Is that what it is?
Yeah, especially there are a lot of dodgy waste management companies around. They don't have the waste carrier licenses to operate. So, example, if you are doing refurbishment in your house, you have bulky waste, you want to dispose it, you call the council, they will not come for it, or they will charge you for it because that is outside the scope of your council tax that you pay. You have to pay for you classify it commercial waste, so you have to pay for it. So somebody will come, the council will say, I will charge you £100, and the dodgy waste management will say, I'll charge you £50. You go for the £50, they will come and collect it because they don't have the license to operate as waste carriers. They will end up disposing it somewhere remote or somebody's land. So you, the landowner, have to deal with it because by legislation, because something Environmental Protection Act 1990, if somebody disposes waste on your land, it's your responsibility to deal with it, even though you didn't cause it. You have to deal with it, and it costs landowners thousands of pounds to deal with it. So the people have been talking a lot about campaigns all over the place. So the government is pushing a lot of money into that sector. So the waste comes. So if you come out with a project, example like what Sule is doing, if Sule is supposed to be in the UK, would have gotten a lot of funding for the project that he's doing. So the government is there supporting it, and it's all because of the EU.
Wow, wow, that's fantastic to know. Richard, are we getting the same support in Ghana from the government?
The support actually more the big players, the status quo, and it makes it a bit challenging for the small actors like the tricycles owners and other small businesses to be able to play on the level field with all those existing companies, because it seems like most support is being shifted to just one party, and it makes it quite difficult for many of the waste management companies to be able to stand the competition. Yeah.
Okay. Sule, is the government doing enough in your opinion?
No, I don't think so. I mean, for a long time before I decided to even take Zaco really serious, I felt like Ghana is top 5 countries with the worst kind of waste management system. Ghana was part of it. Top 5 countries with deforestation. Ghana was part of it. So I felt, having been around for all these years, having been to all of these seminars and workshops, having met all of these big men in Ghana and spoken so much, there should have been some kind of support to help us build. And once it didn't happen, I felt like we should just leave the space and concentrate in the bush, just produce what we can, or do what we can do. I felt like for all these years, having known that our people relied on charcoal as their primary cooking source, there should be a standard or a standardized facility to produce charcoal. The UK has facilities, they process firewood for heating their homes in the rural areas. In the US, they have the biggest charcoal factory in the world. It's called Kingsford, has been running for over 100 years. It was started by Henry Ford. For over 100 years, these guys knew they can turn their waste wood, which they were using to make Ford cars, into charcoal. And for 100 years, it's still running. These guys don't need charcoal to cook. They only need charcoal for barbecue, which is like a pleasure thing. Only in summer. We have summer all year. We cook on charcoal all year. And to date, we never have any facility to even use waste wood for it. And we have people like Zako, young men that I work with, going up and down, collecting waste, processing, doing everything on our own. And still there hasn't been much support. Sometimes it's discouraging. I mean, since I started Zako all these years, I would say majority of the support has come from people outside the country, which is very bad. It's time we really appreciate our own. And it doesn't matter whether it's Amin or whoever. I mean, for once, a very good investor friend of mine told me, why don't we do things for Ghana? I think when we begin to look at things for Ghana, we will begin to support our own and encourage. I am not the only one doing this. I have seen other young people try to also do what I am doing. And I'm even opening up my market. I tell the people, you guys don't even have to go through all that I'm through to put up such a facility. Our plant is maybe $2 million facility now, as in the production plant. You don't have to go through all the challenge to set up such a facility. Find a way that all of us can work together. Can you supply me coconuts? I'll stop collecting. That will be your business. You eat, I'll eat. We'll have a big factory. Can you sell? I'll stop going to market. I'll let you handle the sales. Let's find ways to collaborate. Let's build synergies. Because I have a bigger plant, you're also going to have another bigger plant. How many coconuts do we even have in Accra? The Accra market is still small. The Ghanaian market in total is small. But if I have been the fool to set up such a big thing, don't go that route. Find a way that you can tap into my business, and then everybody wins. So if the government is not coming in, it's up to us to form alliances to build our industry until the government would realize we've become a very powerful force they can't do without.
Wow, I love it. I'm so inspired by you, Sule. I can't.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm blushing.
very, very inspiring, honestly. And even somebody says that you are a genius. Says that you are a genius, Sule. Phil, do you have anything to say to what Sule is saying?
Yeah, what I would say is there's a lot of incentives out there that Sule can tap in. And if you want international organization to invest in what you are doing, one, I will advise that you get ISO accreditation, a quality management system. If you can get it implemented, then I can open you up to big investors that can invest in the project that you are doing. Because the company I work for, the street-based company, they are looking for somebody like you to sponsor. They will open you to World Bank grants, etc. So if you can get ISO accreditation, then I can open you up to them. I can help you to make it big, because what I look at is you can create employment for people, because there's a lot of unemployment in Ghana. There's a lot of civil engineer graduates, environmental science graduates out there. You can get them employed when you expand, when you roll out to other regions like Kumasi, Sunyani, etc. So get in touch and let's work together.
I definitely do.
Absolutely. And currently, how many people have you employed or is on your payroll?
In the factory floor, we have about 12 people, but on the street we have hundreds of people collecting coconuts for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then,
and
so what?
Countless. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was saying we have countless number of women that are also selling the product in the streets. So we have some bits of employment on that side too.
Okay. For youth who want to venture into waste management space, what advice would you give them, Richard?
I would first of all ask them to be able to study the terrain very well, understand the policies and the framework, and then be able to start small and grow big. For instance, creating in their own that implement various materials, try to understand how they react to each other. And I mean, innovation is a key, because we cannot reinvent the wheel, but they should be able to innovate by studying what is in a system. Because most of the time we think that waste management is just collecting and I'm disposing of. It's a complete science in its own, and it requires planning. If we do not study and adopt the appropriate planning, we'll find ourselves where we still are currently.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Sule?
Yep.
What
I encourage everyone to do something for Ghana. Usually we overlook that part. We're always chasing the money, but you see, when you find a purpose, the money always chases you. Mm-hmm. And let's do things for the sake of goodness. You know, recently I was talking about an investor friend that I lost recently. I mean, it's one thing I have come to learn, that from on this part of the world, to us, it's all about the money. You talk to even a typical Ghanaian investor, and all he wants is, what percentage are you giving me? How much stake am I getting? This guy that I just lost, his death has actually like re-enlightened me. Like, we don't really need money for everything. He had all the money, he's gone. This guy didn't know where I lived. He didn't know, he still doesn't even know where I live. I never knew where he lived. He believed in what we were doing, even though we couldn't really achieve all that we planned to achieve. I have come to realize the moment you have a greater purpose that you're driving at, all other secondary things begin to follow you. Let us do things for the love of humanity. Whatever it is that we want to survive on this earth will come chasing us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have 5 more minutes to go. If you have any questions for my panelists, please let's shoot it now. I know that I can see Dangote TV saying, Phil, please help Sule out. Please help this guy out. Who else? Whoa, you see this? This is what we need. Well done, Mr. Phil. And I think that, people are inspired by the conversation. I think that, we really, as you've all said, we need to educate people on recycling, on waste management as a whole. And it's affecting our ozone layer, right, Phil?
Climate change, yeah. Greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide, yeah.
Yeah. And somebody even said that, COVID-19 was a good thing because, the pollution of the aeroplanes flying and everything helped, the ozone.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it's true, because was it last week I went to, because as I explained myself earlier, I manage reservoirs and lakes and rivers within London and the Southeast region. So last week I was doing environmental monitoring. I was carrying out water quality tests, and I realized there is massive change because of the activities of man. There's not a lot of activities going on. The water quality has improved drastically. So that is telling us really human activity and whatever we are doing is having a lot of significant impact on the environment. And it's very true.
Okay. And if you had to bring a policy to Ghana to change the landscape of, sanitation and waste management, what policy would you bring out?
Enforcement. Enforcement is very, very necessary. The government giving EPA the enforcement power to make sure all the policies that they've written on paper is being implemented, and also giving incentives to people like Richard and Sule to expand. One of the incentives, they have to make sure they provide education to the public. So somebody like Sule and Richard, they will recruit people, train them. They'll be out there doing door-to-door canvassing to educate people that waste is a resource for them, for the mindset to change. It's also very, very important. So these are the 2 key things that I will look at if I have to bring a change in Ghana.
Okay. And Sule?
Charity begins at home. Let's teach the kids growing up, class 1, class 2, the importance of keeping the environment clean. And then they will grow up and respect the environment.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. And Richard?
I guess the panelists said it all. We need appropriate education, and we also people need to actually connect with the waste they generate. They should be able to understand through education where they stand. For instance, we cannot be able to. We shouldn't be educating in the abstract. With industries and other existing industries that are transforming things into quite impressive stuff. I quite recollect I had some engagement with a school. And the kids were quite amazed when I told them, for instance, that it could take you about 10 banana peel to be able to produce fuel for a vehicle like Tico for an hour. They were, wow, at least this is where they start. They should be able to know what I'm throwing, what do I use it for? What does the tin tomatoes turn into? but as my food way where that's returned to. If school, for instance, start having a backyard farming and maybe a small composting section, the kids will then connect and they will grow. They will grow to be to understand their surrounding. Currently, we do not understand our surrounding. We are so sophisticated that we're just moving faster than the music, and this is what is actually bringing the challenge. So education and enforcement of most of the bylaws is key to be able to drive us away from where we are to a much more sustainable and resilient Ghana.
Absolutely. Balfour says, what advice would you give to up and coming entrepreneurs? I'll put that to you, Richard.
I'll borrow Sule's word. It shouldn't be about, entrepreneur has become so much a cliche lately. Everybody calls itself entrepreneur. You're entrepreneur because you're staying in your house and you're working, not wanting to work for anybody, or you're an entrepreneur because you want to change life and you have discovered a passion. You need to be driven by the passion you are having. Forgetting, yes, money is quite important, but the point is, when it is driven by passion and you know what you put much more effort in failing and standing up, and still having it sustained. So passion first and understand what you want. If it is just to be able to make $1 million back within a year or two, then I think it's the wrong approach.
It's definitely the wrong approach. And I just want to say a big thank you to all of you for joining me on tonight's show. It's been so impactful, so educative, and very, very, very inspiring. Philip, I don't know whether you had your last words to share with the audience who are watching right now, and then we'll wrap up the show.
So what I would say is waste management is not a dirty business. As Richard said, there's a lot of science involved. Waste management actually emerged from the chemical engineering industry and the civil engineering industry. And waste management, if it's implemented and is used properly, it can go a long way to protect the environment, the sustainability we talk about, leaving the earth a better place for the future generation. So that when we are dead and gone, they too will have a better environment and they too will carry on. Because there is a saying, train a child the way you should go. When you go, you will not depart from it. So we have to also start to incorporate this in our children, that they also see waste as a good business. You can go to the university to learn about waste management. You can start as an entrepreneur, Sule is doing and Richard is doing, and it's a very good business. And also the education aspect is also very, very important, that we see waste as a resource. And also everybody in Ghana should encourage people who are in the industry so that they will do more for Mother Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phil. It's been amazing connecting with you. Just today we're connected on LinkedIn, and you said, Denta, this topic, dear, like Charlie, I've written something on it. Let's have a conversation. And I literally got you on. Thank you so much for your knowledge that you have shared with us today. Sule, what's your last words to people who are watching us tonight?
Do what you love and love what you do.
Love it. Simple and short. I love it. And then Richard.
Let's think about the next generation. Let's try to do something positive for a while. Let's make our backyard beautiful, starting from home, getting to the beaches, and so because there's some interconnection between tourism, for instance, and sustainable waste management, and we're also talking about what we call as the fourth industrial revolution, which is actually sustainability and waste management. The Germans are driving it, other developing countries are doing it. They do not actually need much involved. It's all depending on our commitment. Let's get committed to Ghana, and the rest will be history.
I'm on mute again. Sorry, Sule. I'm gonna come to your place. I'm gonna do a proper dentist show on your organization. We're gonna make sure that Phil keeps to his word and brings you investors that you need, and also get the three of you to work together. because I really believe that, look, moving forward, we need to start doing more partnerships. You know, we need to start supporting each other. If, you know, we don't get the support of the government, we can just get the support of one another to make sure that we push our businesses forward. You know, all of us have got our own individual skill sets, our own ways in which, you know, we can do things. And so when we bring that force together, we are stronger together. So I will definitely be connecting all three of you, all four of you, even with the young girl, and, you know, see how best we can all work together. Thank you so much for your time this evening. And it's been very inspiring, very impactful. Thank you so much. And I'll speak to you guys soon.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, I hope that you have enjoyed tonight's show. It's been so inspiring. I've been so inspired by Sule and Richard, all the amazing work that he's doing with Bola Bird. If you haven't heard of them, go on Instagram, go on Facebook and search Bola Bird. Bola and the bed working together to clean up the city of Accra. But guys, I hope that you have enjoyed another fantastic show. I hope that you're going to be sharing the link with loved ones. You know, it's really important that we do educate ourselves on waste management, and it starts with me and you. We're the ones that are going to educate our children. We're the ones that are going to educate our family members. And so the work begins with us. Again, I want to say a big thank you to all my sponsors. World Remit. Make sure that you use World Remit to send your money back home to a loved one. I'm going to put up the link for you that you can use to send money back home to somebody, especially during COVID-19. You know, people back home on the continent, in Ghana, need your money, need your attention. And so it's always good to use World Remit to send that money back home. And what else are you guys saying? Another great show, Denta. I can't wait to see this collaboration. Me too. It's going to be fantastic. And I'm going to have them right back on here on the Denta Show to tell us the amazing things that they will be doing together one day. Thank you, Dangote, for watching TV. And everybody else that, you know, decided to join us. I'm really, 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 really appreciative of all of you. Let's keep pushing Mother Ghana forward. I'm also going to be speaking to, I don't know whether you've seen Ray, the pencil celebrities. I'm going to be having a conversation with him. He's suffering with liver cancer, but has managed to raise over $71,000 thanks to all of you who donated. And again, for all of you that donated to Private Hammond, you know, our World War II veteran who decided to walk 14 miles. Thank you so much for supporting him as well. So make sure that you get your sauce and your shitta from Prodigy. Make sure you get your perfume from Gloria Mills. Let's support each other. Let's build our nation together. Take care and God bless you all. Bye-bye.